This is the Above Average Podcast, and you are listening because you want an above average life. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Above Average Podcast, the podcast where we talk to above average people about their above average lives. Now, one thing I love about hosting a podcast is when I get a recommendation through from someone, and I go and add them to my list and I go, yeah, I'll get them on. And then when I finally do look at them, I love having my mind absolutely blown by all the stuff that they do. So such is the case with my guest today. So he's a man of many talents, from a 70s disco dancer, to winning Big Brother, to opening up a barbershop with a slight twist, to campaigning for men's mental health, to having the most luscious hair. Please welcome Mr. Anthony Hutton to the show. How are you, mate?
Very good. Thank you for that very kind introduction.
You are more than welcome, mate. I'm in awe of your hair, I have to say. As a bald man, I'm jealous of it. No, I'm just kidding. But, mate, so first of all, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this interview, I'm just curious, the 70s dancer thing, can you explain that? Was it Chico, is that right? Yeah, so explain that side of life before we get started.
You know what, I've got such fond memories of that period of my life. It was the most fun. I mean, we'll probably get onto the Big Brother stuff, but the 70s disco dancing, that was the most fun that I've had as a young lad. And the 70s dancing job, that helped me with the Big Brother, all the Big Brother stuff. That came from being a 70s dancer. That my first job was a postman, and it just wasn't me.
Yeah, you don't give me the look of a postman, man. I'm not gonna lie.
So I wanted all me life as a youth, growing up, I was hell bent and obsessed with trying to be a footballer. In reflection, it's obviously led me to how I am now. But I was extremely driven as a young lad. No alcohol. Wasn't particularly interested in girls. I was terrible academically. But when it came to sport, I massively excelled in, and I was literally on a mission to try to be a footballer. Everything, I was training every night, just everything was trying to be a footballer. Like most lads, that dream didn't come off. I was completely deluded. I thought I was convinced I was going to be a footballer, but it basically led me to having no education. Then I basically had to sign on the dole. When I was round about 17, 18, felt like a loser. And the first job that came up was a postman. And I was like, that doesn't sound too bad. Yeah. Became a postman. Then was doing that for round about a year and a half. And one of my best pals, a lad called Alan, he got this job as a 70s disco dancer. Now, me and him literally live next to each other, like literally about 10 seconds away. Cool. We were always obsessed. We loved Michael Jackson. Absolutely loved Michael Jackson. And as kids, we would literally like have his music videos on, trying to dance like him. We were both really lively kids, and we were both actually good dancers. He got this job being a 70s dancer. He was called Chip Rockwell. Right. And he was we kind of drifted apart because slightly because he went to uni. And he was telling us about this job. He was like, listen, I'm doing this 70s dancing job. He went, I'm doing it all around Newcastle. Every single weekend I'm going to Scotland. The money's good. The birds love us. It's unbelievable. And I was like, you need to get
sign me up. Yeah.
He was like, you need to get me involved. So anyway, he eventually got in touch with us and said, Gaz, who was called Stretch Limo. It was.
I love these fucking names.
Mate. There was Billy Ray Valentine, who was the cowboy. He came on stage. Billy Ray Valentine, packed full of fun with his 12-inch love gun, mate. I love it. He had a cock down to his knees, and he wore the tightest jeans ever. Nice. There was Frankie Fertile. There was Kung Fu Johnny, Gino Giannelli, Chico Importante.
I love that. What is that? What does your name mean?
Chico Importante was from Puerto Rico. It was just basically guy, the stretch limo Gaz, he basically like thought I looked foreign and was like, "Yeah, you look like a Chico."
You know, if you came on and told me your name was Chico, I would believe you. To be honest. It's just the dark features, man. That's all it is. Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I remember I got told there was an audition to get this for the 70s dancing job. It was in a nightclub called Beach in Sunderland, and there was a few other lads going for the job. Now, coincidentally, I got brought up with 70s. My mum absolutely loves 70s disco music, and I was born in '82. I'm like a 90s boy, but I was very familiar with all these 70s disco tunes.
Yeah.
So I was all over it, and I remember the very first night when I was pulling on these really tight flares and putting on me polyester shirt, and then I purchased this. I went and got this really good wig from a proper wig shop, and I remember putting it on, putting me aviator sunglasses on, and I was just like, "This is fucking."
I bet you felt cool as fuck.
Like, and you felt really comfortable on stage, and me confidence started to grow, and like I said, I was just this young free spirit who was single, and then that when I went and auditioned for Big Brother, back then you had to queue up back in 2005, and what happened was there was like thousands of people queuing up, and basically once you got to the front, you met different producers, and it was majority of people were getting kicked out right at the beginning stage.
Wow.
They would basically asked you, "What's your name? Tell us something interesting about yourself." And obviously, I told them my name, and then I said I'm a 70s disco dancer, and they said, dance for me. So I just started fucking doing it. What did
you dance? Was there music, or did you just have to dance music. Awkwardly?
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
Okay.
I just started dancing like John Travolta in front of everyone, and then they got me through. And because it was such a different, it was a very unique job.
Yeah.
What I'd done, it really helped me in the Big Brother audition process.
So what made you actually go for that audition process in the first place? Like,
so that again, that stems from being a postman. So I was basically a postman on a normal wage, and there was blokes, and I got on with all of the lads fantastically well. They were top blokes. But there were some blokes who were doing that job. They'd been in the job for over 20 years.
Yeah.
That really didn't sit with me. It really didn't sit with me, and I thought, like, is this it? Is this it for me? And it really didn't sit for me. And basically, it was just there was ideas floating around my head. How can I change things up? And I was a huge fan of Big Brother. It was a massive TV show back in the day, and I soon started flirting with the idea of I could do that.
Yeah.
I think I'd get on.
This is way before like the social media influencer type days, isn't it? That was kind of, you either on TV or you were nobody. Essentially.
Yeah. So then them traits that I had from wanting to be a footballer, they started creeping in this process of like, right, okay, I'm actually going to get on this show. So I remember I picked up my mate, a couple of my best mates. I actually picked him up at round about 3:30 in the morning to specifically get to the auditions in Manchester, and I was driving down. I wasn't there to play games. I was turning up there to get on the show.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this for the crack. I'm looking to change my life up, because I thought if I get on there, things could change. I could potentially get some money and get some fame. I was a huge fan, so I thought it would be so cool just to get on.
Yeah.
And that's where it come from.
Nice. It's funny. So like that drive to the football thing, obviously, I mean, a lot's changed with obviously influencers and how the fact that social media now is your follower count. It's all about the views, the likes, the attention, that sort of era. But back then, I'm like, that was the only way that you got, you became a symbol and you could actually do something with a platform.
Yeah.
So
back then, Chico and Portante probably would have had quite a few followers.
Did you ever try for X Factor or anything with that name?
Well,
under that name?
I mean, I can't sing. Actually, they ended up being a Chico on X Factor.
It's Chico time, wasn't it?
Yeah, Chico time. And I remember thinking, why fucking didn't I think of that catchphrase? That's I was Chico before he was Chico.
You never know, mate. If all else fails now going forward, you could always go back to that and just bring it back. Everyone's forgotten Chico time. We've just brought it back for everyone listening as well. Yeah. So as someone, I kind of understand the sort of like maybe call it fame chasing. Would you say that you always wanted that significance? Would that be the right term for you? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing either.
No. It's a very valid point. There would have been an element of that. Mm-hmm. I think the fundamentals were, I wanted some form of success.
Yeah.
I wanted, if I look at my life, I've never really went down the normal mold. Mm-hmm. Whatever I do. It's always anything I do always seems to have a twist. Mm-hmm. So I was just, for me, it was, I've always been an extrovert. I've always prided myself of being a good guy as well, and mm-hmm. that the Big Brother show intrigued me because it always seemed to be the good guy one. And I always, not to be cocky, but when I was watching, I thought, I reckon I could win that.
Yeah.
The trigger points were probably there was some form of fame element to mm-hmm. it. I've always been a bit of a showman. Fundamentally, though, I wasn't content in the life that I had as a postman.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's a funny side note, actually. I got invited through DM last night to apply for Come Dine With Me. I'm like, this could be my chance. Even though I can't cook, I'm just like, do I want to embarrass myself on national TV? I don't know. But I get that. I think to relate to that as well, I've always kind of had a little bit of, I mean, some people say it's like a thing from childhood where it's like you didn't get attention, so you want the attention from everyone else and stuff. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know, it could be different for everyone, but
definitely doesn't apply to me because I was absolutely drenched with love and affection.
Yeah, I think
attention.
Well, people have said that about people who like me who do podcasts, even about me myself, and I've done YouTube for like 8 years and stuff, and people are like, oh, have you not got attention from when you were a child? I'm like, oh. You know what I mean? But that doesn't bother me because I'm like, the only way it becomes a bad thing is if you just do it for that attention, not to do anything with that attention. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you're going to raise money for something, for example, you need the attention. If you're going to, like you do, help men's mental health, you need that platform to build off. And I think we'll obviously come to what you do now, but I think you've done that very well from that attention and that fame.
Yeah.
I think,
And also, I think if someone's going to come from that maybe negative vibe, that's more on you.
Yeah, it's like a jealousy thing, I think.
Or maybe it's just an insecurity thing. That in terms of, again, this is probably going on a slight different angle. But
that's cool, mate. Podcasts are all about the tangents, man. Yeah.
No, it's just, dealing with slander. I remember when I closed my business, Mr. Hutton's after 10 years, came out, and the local newspapers made. They done an article on it just to kind of share, that I'd left and and on Facebook the amount of slander, the negative, the real personal digs that were coming at me, but fortunately because I've got years and years of life experience, I literally genuinely didn't give a shit about what they were saying. I feel sorry for people if they're in a place where they have to be nasty and negative on people that they don't really know, and they've got that time. Mm-hmm. Sadly, you're not in a good place, and that's how I genuinely see it.
Yeah.
Sadly, younger people who might be new to the game, they might really take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the messages really out there is, if anyone's on social media or they're trying to do something good or they're just simply putting themselves out there, if they get negativity, that negativity that they're getting isn't on them. It's on the person sending it.
And they often say it's a good sign if you're getting haters. And I'm like, yes, I understand that because it means you've got more eyes. And if you haven't got people disagreeing with you, there's something's going wrong. But at the same time, not everyone is prepared for fame. Like everyone might want a certain level. There might be part of everyone that kind of goes, I'd like to be a little bit more acknowledged or, have a bit of a platform or whatever now, which is good. But not everyone's prepared for it. And not everyone, I don't think, can handle it. Like I often say, I don't give a fuck kind of thing, right? But at the same time, there's always that one comment that'll come through and I'll read it on a bad day and it's like, and then you start questioning everything you've done. And it's like, it does get through to you sometimes. And it's like, I had a guy on the podcast called Paul Moore. I don't know whether you know Paul, but he's quite big online at the minute. And he had a very famous video, got like 6 million views, I think. And it was him talking about the time he was going to jump off a cliff in South Shields. And in the video, he basically pours his heart out. In the comments, there's like thousands of comments, and there's always that one that's like, you should have jumped. And I'm just like, who thinks to type that? Yeah, he's crazy. Just sat at home on his phone going, should have jumped. But it's like, that could be enough. If you post on the wrong person's thing, you can end a life. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? That
keyboard warriors.
Yeah, keyboard warriors. It really is. But I think it's just having that understanding really that you're always going to get it. Like if you come across the most perfect guy or girl or whatever, no matter what, you're going to get some form of negativity.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. So, in terms of going back to the were you a barber at this time as well? Did you cut hair at this time as well, or
no?
Or was that after Big Brother? You did
no. So just before. So when I quit the post office job and got the 70s disco dancing job, all of my everything was always on a night time. So I was all my actual days were free. Yeah, and I always. Was probably a closet hairdresser for years. I always loved getting my hair cut, and I always remember going to Tony and Guy and was fascinated with the experience. It was like, I remember going to a city centre hair salon and there was the music was playing. There was most people were attractive, the smells were nice, and I remember just being really like, oh God, like I love this, and I was always into my hair, and then there was a TV program called The Salon that came out on Channel 4, and so I was a bit paranoid about, because I was always a football lad and I was always a sporty lad. I was paranoid to get into the industry because of the association of gay. I was already a 70s disco dancer, so
you didn't want to connect any more dots.
Season that with a camp hairdresser as well. It's like, you're definitely gay. So I was like, there was a part of me was like, oh no, like you can't do that. Everyone will just think you're gay. Back in the 90s, being from Concert, County Durham and stuff, and not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with being gay, but like I was a straight lad's lad. But anyway, I'd seen the final kind of like nudge was I seen this program called The Salon on Channel 4, and it was all these really cool straight guys who were the hairdressers, and I was just like, oh yes, that's me.
That was the inspiration you needed.
Yeah, that was just like, I was constantly getting nudges. So anyway, because I had free time during the day, I basically actively started to getting into the hair industry. Found like a 30-week course to be a hairdresser with a company called Saks, and so basically just jumped on that course. So I was doing the hairdressing during the day, and then on the evenings I was dancing.
Nice. Also, you're pretty much just working flat out non-stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, man. So obviously, let's go back to the Big Brother, because this is what I think a few people might recognize you from. I've told a few people like, oh my god, blast from the past kind of thing. Yeah. So, just in terms of the entrance, because I went back and I looked at a few videos and stuff like that. So on your entrance into, you've been accepted, you go on the entrance. Did they boo you during this entrance?
Yeah.
Why?
I deserved it.
What did you do to deserve that?
I'll just give it the Charlie Big Bollocks too much. Because when I was auditioning and I was like getting through different stages, they were obviously talking about the 70s disco dance and stuff a lot. Mm-hmm. And again, when I was auditioning, I cranked my personality up to 10.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was, an arrogant dickhead, because I knew they needed...
That's what gets you in, yeah.
That's what I needed the in. So I wasn't too interested in how I came across in the audition process, because I was confident enough once I got on and then I was able to be myself. Mm-hmm. Then I could just simply be myself. But I basically told them, listen, get me on, because the entrance is going to be fire. I'm going to be dancing. I'm going to be kissing birds in the queue, in the audience. I just give it the Charlie Big Bollocks. So I basically felt as if I had to be a man of my word. Steamrolled out the car and give it the biggin. And by the time I'd got to the front, it was just over the top. So to the point where the audience were basically like, please fuck off. And I remember, I'd got to the very, the door. I got to the doors and I was doing this John Travolta, pause, and I was just getting booed. And wow. that was terrifying. That was terrifying. But even as cocky as it might sound, I still wasn't too fazed by it, because I thought, just wait till you get to know me.
Yeah.
Just wait till you get to know me. But it was, I did think I'd fucked up when I was getting booed to go in.
But as someone who, obviously you said before, you know you're a nice guy. I hate the term nice guy, but you're a good man, right? Yeah. Let's say that, a good man. So to be booed and but to be booed for something that's not fully you, how did that not grind on you a little bit?
It was one of the ultimate fear, especially when you're young as well. And when you go on Big Brother, it's pretty much like, are you liked or are you disliked?
Yeah.
Like that big fear was getting booed off the crowd. Mm-hmm. So it was, it was like, I was like, shit. Like, I hope I don't get, evicted straight away, because potentially if I was up for nomination early on, say that first week, based on how I came across in that entrance, potentially I could have got kicked out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was like a fear that came to a potential fear that came to surface, really. But yeah,
because I know from being in front of the camera quite a lot, when the cameras are on, excuse me, and you're being watched, there's a level of your personality that puts on a performance to some extent.
Yeah,
I'm just curious, when you were in there, like, how much was like a performance, or even just slightly, and how much was just you just being chill about it? Like, what was the balance there?
I think at first there was, you may be putting a bit of a front on to a certain extent, but I was on there for 79 days, I think, just under 3 months. Like, the mask will always fall in that time frame, and it's very much, although it is quite a natural setting. You don't see any cameraman. We didn't speak to one producer in that whole process. Everything that happened on the show happened organically. Mm-hmm. So generally, the further into the show, things just started to be more natural, and you literally just were simply living with people. You got to, you got the nudge that you were on a TV show, maybe when you were doing the tasks.
Yeah.
When it was Friday night, when it was live eviction, you got that, that feeling like, wow, we're on telly, we're live.
Yeah.
You got them feelings, but I think after a certain stage, it started just being things just started being organic and natural, really.
Yeah, I think I've heard that shows now, like especially like Love Island and things like that. Apparently, the producers are always in and out. Do this, don't do this. There's a lot more. Like, we need that sort of telly. We need this moment now. Because I think back then, Big Brother was the only kind of thing really doing something to that extent where everyone's all eyes are on.
Well, yeah, I think, Big Brother was that at the time, that was the only, if I recall right, that was the only reality TV show going.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. I done this morning, a couple of years back, and I was in a green room with a lad who'd been on Love Island, and me and him started basically sharing experiences, what it was like, and his experience was so different to mine. So he was saying that he couldn't get over how produced it was. He, to the point where like they're getting them to do it again. They're getting told to, when you're talking to her, you need to take her on that seat and you need to ask them this questions. He said, I couldn't get over how produced it was, whereas mine was the complete opposite, where we didn't speak to any producers. Everything happened organically.
Yeah. Wow, man. What was your favourite part about being in there? Because I know you spoke about this with fond memories. You don't look back at a time where you're like, oh, I regret doing that or whatever. You've looked back fondly. So what was your sort of favourite memory from being in there?
Favourite memory? You know what? Like, I lived and breathed, because I was such a huge fan of the show. I was a proper Big Brother nerd.
Yeah, well, it was season 6 you were on, sorry.
Yeah, I was a proper Big Brother nerd. So I was a genuine fanboy. So to get on it, I was over the moon. I was so pleased I was on there. So I was like, every day I'm going to relish. I'm going to love. If there was a task, I remember there was one task where Big Brother said, they told us that they were going to tell us 3 lies over the course of the week. And so they kept on telling us loads of stuff, right? And all the housemates were like, yeah, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. They told us, one of the things they told us there was some treasure, buried under the garden, and they had a shovel, right? And everyone started digging for maybe 20 minutes, right? And they all were like, oh, it's a lie. And I was like, no, I reckon they're telling the truth here. So, and like, if you give me a bone, like, I don't stop.
Yeah.
So I literally was like honestly, I dug, mate, honestly, it was like a JCB. It'd been there. I was non-stop digging, and then sure enough, I was like, hang on a second here. Anyway, sure enough, there was some, like, this treasure chest with Julie, and I was like,
I fucking told you.
Yeah, I was like, yes, come on. So I threw myself into, like, all the tasks. The main thing really was when there was just 2 of us, where this was like almost, I can't describe this feeling when there was just me, and there was another guy, Eugene, and Davina McCall came on the telly, and it was her next announcement was going to be who the winner was. This was like such a surreal, crazy moment, because I was just like, I'm almost living in a movie here. This is crazy. And then when she said my name, that euphoric of like all these plans and thoughts that were going into my head from back of thinking of the idea, coming to it actually has happened, that you've won, and then coming out to fireworks and seeing this crowd, it was such a euphoric high moment. It was unbelievable. So I would have to say when actually the announcement of winning the show was probably the best moment.
Did you come out and you're like, oh, you fuckers that booed when I went?
No, because like I touched on, I deserved it. I didn't. I didn't look good. I'll probably look like an over the top cocky arsehole who needs to stop giving it the biggin so much.
Anyone could have anyone could have done. Did you steal anything from the house? Do you have any souvenirs or anything?
Trying to think. I don't think.
You didn't smuggle out like a pillow or something, a lamp.
No, I didn't actually.
Like, I have a Big Brother lamp. Look at this.
No, I don't think so. To be fair, no, I've still got my suitcase, but that was ours to keep.
Yeah, nice, man. Nice.
But I've told me it was my grandma and mum like literally recorded every single episode. So there's still like racks and racks of like old school videos lying around the attic, which is and my grandma and mum kept all like literally all of the newspaper magazine clippings and stuff.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
you got a whole like Big Brother treasure chest. Yeah. They should let you keep the treasure chest.
That would have
could
been
put all
cool.
your shit in it. That would have been great. Well, I saw one clip actually, which I loved. I found really funny. Was you were asked about what horse Big Brother was thinking of, right? So I found this clip, and really you said
Sandy
from Dogtanian, right? Now, when I saw that, I was like, I love Dogtanian, right? And it's rare now that someone like I'm like,
how old are you?
I'm 28. Had to think about that. Right. Yeah. So when I was a kid, though, actually, I was obsessed with Dogtanian on video. I had this white cassette of Dogtanian.
Right.
And I watched, I think I had the first 3 episodes on or something like that. And I watched that shit to death so much that my mom and dad actually had to hide it and say that they couldn't find it. Yeah. And somehow, I don't know how I did this, but the story is that I somehow found it and they came in and I was watching it. But I loved it. And I'm like, did you genuinely like love Dogtanian that much that it sprang to mind? Or did you just like...
I loved... honestly, I was obsessed with Dogtanian. And honestly, back then, I was like... I still am now. I was so thick. I was so thick. Like such a daft... in one aspect, I was really thick. But then there was also one aspect of me that I would say was intelligent. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's literally the first thing that came to me.
I fucking love that. I was like, Dogtanian! I was like, I don't care, I would have said the same. I was like, fucking hell. But like, I still get the theme tune in my head. Oh, for one.
Yeah.
Musca Hounds. I'm not going to sing the whole thing of this podcast.
I'm very surprised that you know what Dogtanian is.
I love Dogtanian, man.
Was it still... So obviously, was it still out then when you were a young kid then?
I think it is finished.
Right,
and I think I was kind of I had older cousins who I think had watched it and passed down to me. But I just
Juliet, who was the Dogtanian's romance.
Yeah, I just loved it. And do you remember when they beat the shit out of him with the sticks? And like, I don't know how much you remember. They beat the shit out of him, and that traumatized me as a kid. They're like beating there's like lumps appearing, the little red flashy lumps. I was like, that traumatized me as a kid, man. I've got issues. I need therapy from that scene. But no, I loved it. Did you see they made the remake of it?
No.
I think it was like 2019 maybe. They remade it like a full cinema release and everything. But
no way.
I still need to see it actually. Right. I've asked for it from Santa Claus every Christmas and no one's got it. I'm like, Mom, we'll put this on. She's like, no. But listen, I know you've spoke about this on other podcasts, but I don't know the full story. So we spoke about this just before we went on. There was another podcast you went on. They just went straight in with this question.
Right.
So did somebody say that you got them pregnant somehow, or what was it? I'm guessing it was a lie, but what was the story behind all that? Because I couldn't really find too much on it.
Well, it was interesting. There was two main storylines of the whole show. Mm-hmm. I was heavily involved in. Mm-hmm. There was one where there was a young lad who was gay, basically, mm-hmm. who kind of hadn't come out, but he was blatantly he was blatantly gay. So he formed really strong feelings for me, mm-hmm. and was that relationship, how he was with me, mm-hmm. that got the most airtime. And then there was the other storyline was a girl who said she was pregnant to me, mm-hmm. Makosi, and in reflection, both of the main storylines, I probably came out smelling the roses in both situations.
Yeah. People still comment about that guy. I'm not going to say names just because you didn't, but people still comment that on some of your posts. I've seen like some. There was when you shut down your shop and stuff. There's like did such and such go in. So and I was like, oh, okay, so people are still dragging the shit out. Okay.
Yeah. But the probably the main one is did you have sex with Makosi? Mm-hmm. And so yeah, that's that was one of the main storylines of the show. We basically, what happened was there was a jacuzzi, and back then they fueled us with booze.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just, like I said, I was drunk, naked, in a jacuzzi.
That's how all good stories start.
Actually, I wasn't naked. I had a black tie around my neck, if I remember rightly.
Just the tie. I love this.
Just the tie.
How did I miss this clip?
And so me, we had a fondle, but we didn't have sexual intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually mad that she said that we did, because coincidentally this actually aired. I got up, so that incident happened on the night,
mm-hmm.
and I got up early I woke up like proper hungover. I don't know, it was maybe about 5 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
And Makosi was up as well. She'd obviously got up. I went to the kitchen to get a drink of water,
mm-hmm.
and then me and her started like basically talking. She was like, "Everyone thought we had sex, and I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah, everyone thinks it."
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, that's mad." Anyway, I just went back to bed. She was such a game player, especially watching it back. She'd done so many things to get the attention on her. I remember there was one time where you had to not break an egg, and she accidentally on purpose broke the egg and started crying, and we failed. And I remember watching back, I was like, "You done that on purpose." And she would do loads of things on purpose to get the attention.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing. She came with a game plan.
I think she did come with a specific game plan. So obviously, when she had heard everyone thinking we had sex, I think that's triggered her thinking, I'm gonna say we had sex. So, like I said, about the same morning, she went to the diary room and asked for a pregnancy test about 16 hours after the incident or something. Yeah, so, like that, in such a short space of time, but she never ever told me. So she never ever came.
Because you would have. I would have obviously knocked the plans off.
I would have obviously completely called her out. Going, what on earth are you talking about? So I found, and so she was telling that the house was very. It had two groups. It had two groups basically.
Yeah.
It was very, very halved in terms of alliances. She had a little crew. She told a couple of our crew members, our housemates, that she thinks she's pregnant and all this type of stuff. But she never said anything to me, and I basically found out from my interview with Davina, and that
wow,
yeah, that's live on telly. She was like, "You do know that she said you were pregnant," and I was like, wow, I was like, what an absolute liar.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm pleased she did say it, to be honest, because one, it helped airtime, and like I said, I came out well out of that situation, and then it was absolutely fantastic for magazine deals, because it was Anthony's side. His story.
Well, I saw it was on front page of the Sun and everything. Yeah,
and there was Makosi's side, what she said. So me and her were, seriously getting paid a lot of money for these magazine deals. So in reflection, it's like,
she actually walked off an interview as well. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Some guy made a comment about it. He says, "How did you mistake 2 fingers for a penis or something like that?" Everyone just laughs at her, and then she walks off. I was like, "Oh, that's gotta sting."
Yeah. Well, you know what? If she gets as many comments as I still do, she'll still get stuff said, because I still, which blows me mind.
Yeah.
Still get asked that question. Yeah. Which is mad.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I know it's what people want to know about it and stuff. So I know you want to speak about it.
I'm not offended by that question. It's obviously, it was a big moment in TV. So yeah.
Well, I'm on Anthony's side, so it's all good. So tell me about the fame afterwards. So you come out, you sign with an agency, basically straight away. Like life just kind of takes off from there. Like I'm guessing it's pretty full on mad.
Yeah, I always say, looking back at it, it was such a crazy, crazy, extreme high and extreme taste of fame. From, obviously I'd had, I wasn't famous as a 70s dancer. I was basically a 70s disco dancer, but I lived at concert with me grandma, me granddad, and me mum.
Yeah.
So, to get on Big Brother, I was on the telly every single night for 79 days, which is mental. And come off the show to fireworks, speaking to Davina McCall. I'd just won £50,000. The next day was equally as crazy. I'd had several agents on the morning that I had a timetable that I had to go and meet to sign me up. Eventually signed with John Knoll Management. In that day, on the Saturday, I came out on the Friday. By 12 midday, I'd signed a £200,000 OK photo shoot. And I remember being in the office with me mum, and me and my mum, we were just looking at each other, just blown away. Got whisked off to this London mansion to do a photo shoot, and then it was just this, I was this famous guy doing some crazy famous stuff, doing TV shows, pantomimes. I'd done a TV program called The Match, which led me to, I ended up living with Paddy McGuinness in Ralph Little in a little bedroom in a three single beds. I'm living with Paddy McGuinness about 3 weeks after doing Big Brother, doing this football program, and done loads of crazy shit. I was going on holidays. The most extravagant holiday that I'd been on was Magaluf with the boys. Next thing, I'm going to Monaco, driving there with a friend in a Lamborghini, going to watch the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah,
and I don't say that to brag or boast. That it was just how much like my lifestyle, money, and basically being people knowing my name. It was such a crazy high.
Did it change how you viewed yourself much? Because obviously you went in with, I know who I am and I know who I'm going to turn on a little bit to win this thing. Did it change like how you viewed yourself afterwards?
You know what? No, I was always confident in myself in terms of how I am as a person. So I thought when I was on the show, I thought the best thing I can do is fundamentally just be myself, and the result will take care of itself. And then I basically didn't want to, I thought, well, I'm not going to change now that I'm famous. So in terms of like me core friends, I was very lucky that I had some me friends were lads that I grew up with from school, lads who have known me since we were 5, like me best mate Chrissy. Me and him have been best mates literally since nursery. I'm godfather to all of his kids. He's godfather to mine. We're both best men. Real lucky to have some best mates who would always keep me grounded. It was amazing. Obviously, you're getting smoke blew up your arse. The ego's getting seriously massaged. I almost, to be honest, had to sometimes tone myself down in terms of when I was socializing. So, like when I used to go out, it used to be unbelievable before Big Brother. Like honestly, the 70s disco lads, they would all mash up with my mates as well.
Yeah.
Every single night, we would be having dance offs. We would always, honestly, no word of lie, we were renowned. We would have circles round us, right,
Wow.
where we were just fucking dancing. We would be doing dancing routines. We would be having dance offs. There was always just this massive, like, awesome, fun type vibe around us anytime we would go out, right? When I was after I'd done Big Brother, if I went on like that, it was sometimes you would get a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
And that was one of the bad things about the fame side of things is, you know, when I would go out, I basically had there was two types of people. Someone who would want to shake me hand and give me a high five and engage with me nicely,
Mm-hmm.
or there would be a lot of animosity, and
Mm-hmm.
I would get heat. And sometimes there was a couple of times where I basically got punched, completely unprovoked. And I remember the first time that happened, where I, got me nose punched. My nose was and my face was a mess from this unprovoked punch.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just being like devastated. And I remember thinking things are a little bit different now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm potentially a little bit of a target, and it got to the point where sometimes I would get so drunk, I would just get so intoxicated, because it would take me away from the amount of people that would come up to me, or it would make me less kind of paranoid about potentially someone coming up and stuff.
Yeah.
So it had a lot of positives, but it, like anything, it did have some negatives.
Everyone wants to be famous until they realize people want to bring you back down a peg, you know? Like, that's probably what those guys were doing. They just saw, like, they'd seen you on Big Brother, they saw the attention you were getting, they were like, oh, I'm bigger than him, I'm stronger, you know, whatever. Yeah. And they go for you. It's like in prisons, man, when they go for the biggest guy first. They were going for you because you were the bigger target. Yeah. Yeah. Damn, man. So, in terms of you've gone through this fame period, everyone knows who you are. When it starts to slow down and sort of, I don't want to say reality hits in, but like when that sort of period, when the work dries up and you're like, where's the next thing coming from? What kind of space are you in your life then?
So it was gradual. It's, you know, year by, I managed to churn out a decent living for a number of years. Mm-hmm. But then it got to the point where, like, year by year, things are basically starting to dwindle. Yeah. Then it gets to the point where I was like, do I need to get a normal job now? I was like, that sounds that just doesn't sound possible. Like,
considering you'd never wanted a normal kind of life, really, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. And like I said before, you know, you get smoke blew up your arse. For so long, I was known from, that's Anthony from Big Brother. Mm-hmm. That was like literally my name, Anthony from Big Brother. That's him from Big Brother. So the thought of having to get back into the normal life, or doing something normal, I'd cooked up in my head where I would like be a laughingstock. So I was like, I can't, and deludedly thought something would come up, something else will happen. I'm Anthony from Big Brother. There'll be another TV show that comes along my way, and then I'll get on it, and then I'm back. And it basically never did. It never really did. And by this point, money started to be an issue, because I was still spending, but no money was coming in.
Were you actively looking for opportunities at this point, or was it the agency just giving you stuff, like you didn't have to go and find anything yourself?
Well, I had an agent at the time, and I was, you know, calling them. Nothing was coming in, and then I felt, you obviously get into a certain headspace, don't you? But like from at one point where I thought everything I touched would turn to gold, I was at a point where I felt as if the momentum where nothing was coming off, and there was a few things where I thought that I was going to get that was going to come off, and then they never did. And then I started having a full negative vibe, and then I would be blaming people, and I was bitter, and why didn't I do this? That was like, why didn't I get this advice, or why did I do this? And blaming, like I said, blaming people, and getting to the point where I just simply I had no direction. I had no job. I basically was really depressed. I started getting in a real dark headspace. All me pals, they'd got older, they'd got married, they had careers. I was still this man starting to approach his late 20s, who was hanging around with 19, 20-year-olds. Started doing drugs. I was hanging around with crowds that I would never normally associate with. And yeah, just in a really, really terrible headspace, where it got to the point where I was just like, I'd missed 5 mortgage payments. And it was from the 5 mortgage payments were for the house that I'd bought with me success of me winnings. And I felt what I was thinking about. I thought, how have I managed to get so much success myself, and I've fucked it up so much? And it made me feel, I felt like such a loser. The self-worth was non-existent. Obviously, I had no direction. There was no the simple things. I remember when I first got a real job. I was terrified about getting it, but I remember simply putting some clothes on and actually going to work, having a little bit of focus. There was simple things, when I started doing them, led me starting to get back on track. But back then there was no direction.
Yeah, there must be that weird fear of like, I'm going to be a washed up celebrity kind of thing. That vibe where like, did it ever cross your mind? Because I just from putting myself in your shoes, like go and say you go off to Tesco, you do your shop, and then you get that stare from the woman behind the counter who recognizes you. Yeah, and you're like, she hasn't said anything. Does she just know that I used to be this guy? Like,
oh yeah. It was, honestly, it's a hard one.
It's not something everyone can ever relate to, really.
Yeah, no, it's mad. It's like, I remember when I'd got a lifetime free membership at the Sports Centre gym, and then I remember that got pulled. That got pulled now after a certain amount of years, whereas the manager was like, flagged it up, was like, no, you're not free anymore. And it was like, all right, okay.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's stuff like that that's not easy to deal with, where you are a has been, and it definitely does have that feel, especially doing the reality TV stint. It's not an easy thing, but you know what? Would I change anything? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
because the comeback, oh my god,
I know, man. I'm excited to talk about this. Nice, yeah.
Oh, the comeback's so sweet. The comeback is so sweet.
I just love what you did next, man, which we'll definitely talk about. But it'd be very easy to cling to that fame, right? Like, did you talk about this with anyone? Was there anyone you could talk about what you were going through with?
No, not particularly. Back then, no. Well, no. To answer your bluntly, no, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really share any of that. And, in regards to mental health, that wasn't even a word. Back then, it wasn't even a word. Like, when I reflect on it now, it's like, wow, that was so... It's quite logical why I was feeling those feelings.
Yeah.
Because I'd had such a high, and then I had such a low.
Yeah.
And I was young and naive going through all this process. Back then, there was no support. You got to meet a psychologist once when you left the house.
Mm-hmm. Was that to help you like readjust to life again after that?
He just asked you, how you getting on, and to be honest, I was just like, yeah, all right, just like most of us blokes do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so it wasn't even a thing. So yeah, nothing really got spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
Later down the line, I went and actually to do with alcohol and drugs. I actually went and seen professional help. I only went once, and it was. I'm a keynote speaker now, and it was. I tell you what, it was a realization, and it was really good. Not knocking it, but one thing that I took away from it, because beforehand I not glamorized it, because I was thinking I was weighed for so long about, like, I kept on questioning, going, should I go and get help? Do I need to get help? Do I need to?
Yeah.
And then I'd like thinking, well, you keep on asking yourself, so like that probably tells you that you should.
Yeah, good point.
But one thing I realized is, like, not arrogantly, but there was nothing that I spoke about really that I deep down didn't know. And one thing I realized was like, there's only going to be one person who gets me out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Me.
Yeah. 100%.
It's got to burn. If you want to change something up, you've got to change it. And yeah, that's the main message. Like, if you need something to change, it's got to come from you.
Yeah, you've got to make shit happen. Whether it doesn't matter what. I mean, they say when you're at rock bottom, the only place you can go is up. But like, I think anything that you want to do, or any mess that you're in, you're the one that's gonna get you out of it. Yeah, I think it's important to ask for help if you do need it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of people ask like how, they don't ask who, and I think that's the most important. Like, who can help me with this, but not how do I do this? Because there's people that have been there. I mean, your position was quite unique in that regard, but a lot of people listening, there's someone out there who's been probably through worse.
Oh, yeah.
Not
absolutely.
to compare, the worst thing that's happened is the worst thing that happened, but there's people out there who can help.
Oh,
it's all about finding the right person.
Well, there's a quote. There was a guy who said a quote on our podcast, and then this quote was in my son's book, and I was like, no way. And it was, asking for help isn't giving up. Asking for help is refusing to give up. And asking for help is one of the things about taking action. Mm-hmm. And you need help. My God, I got help. And I had such a supportive family. I got, they supported me with money to get me out of the shit situation I was at. You need help. Yeah. That's you absolutely need it. But you are the one who needs to, like, I want the help.
Yeah.
I need the help. It has to come from you. There has to be a burning desire of wanting to get out into a better place.
Well, I know when a guy on my Facebook is struggling because he starts sharing lone wolf memes, and I'm just like, the lone wolf starves. You're not a lone wolf. If you want to be a lone wolf, you're gonna starve, because you can be by yourself, you can be alone, you're gonna get worse. It's like they share these like memes. I think men that share a lot of memes as a cry for help, personally.
Yeah.
Because especially ones where it's like, it's either a picture of the guy from Peaky Blinders, the Joker, Tom Hardy, or a wolf or a lion or something like that. And I'm like, you've got something, you're asking for help, and there's people out there. I feel like commenting underneath like, this meme is a cry for help, get help,
Yeah.
But I'm just like, the lone wolf starves. Find someone that's gonna help you. They're out there. 100%.
Yeah.
So tell me about Mr. Hutton's Barbers and Bar. How do you go from where you're in this dark place to running that? Like, how does that work?
So the first thing that I'd done, so I was in a terrible place, terrible headspace, and I needed to. I realised I needed a change up. My change up was I needed to get out of this area where I'm at. I need to, and I actively moved location into Darlington, where I still live there now, and I literally didn't know anyone.
Yeah,
it was a complete fresh start, and I'd got this job in this salon, got back into the hair industry, and then basically was working there for a while, and then that change up, that first job, was one of the, if not the best move that I ever made and ever happened to me, because I met me now wife in that hair salon.
Nice.
Who we've got 2 beautiful boys too, and then then a bit of luck started coming my way again. I started building a bit momentum, and again, and then once I started kind of getting back on track, back being myself, then the determination started to flow again, and then it was like, right, okay, so I'm working in a salon, but I want my own salon.
Yeah.
And there was a guy whose hair I cut. So I was basically, my pals were my clients. I was making,
that's always how it starts, isn't it?
Yeah. I was basically, most of my mates were my clients, because, like I said, I didn't know loads of people from this area. And one thing that I've got is I've always been really creative. I've very, very creative. That's one of my strong points. And like I said, I never do anything. Everything I do, I always like to do with a twist. And we used to go for a drink after his haircut on a Friday night. And I remember thinking, how fucking cool would it be if I had a bar in my salon? And then I was like,
light bulb moment.
I was like, that's it. I was like, a barber's in a bar. Barbers. So anyway, I started Googling it, and I was like, there's nothing coming up here. And then again, that was very appealing to me, where sometimes it might not be appealing to people, and then I started literally getting a bit obsessive with the idea. Again, them obsessive traits from trying to be a footballer, getting on Big Brother, was, I'm going to open a barbers and a bar, and they're going to be, it's going to be a full-on bar, and a barbershop. And there was loads, like everyone whose opinion I asked said it doesn't work. How will it work? And I was like, it absolutely will work.
Yeah.
And yeah, the basically I just managed to I had no experience working in a bar, none. Had a big passion for I've got a big passion for cooking, and I've got a big passion for ingredients, and I had a passion for cocktails.
Yeah, well, you can take my spot and come down with me then, man. Because
I love honestly, if I wasn't a barber by trade, I would love to be a chef. Nice. Absolutely love cooking, and yeah, I just had this idea. It was like, right, I'm going to open a barbers and bar. Started basically applying to the council. Found a spot again, like even from the council, they were like, "You're gonna have to explain this." And it was just like, and sure enough, I didn't stop till I got there. Decided to call it. It was originally going to be called the Bar Buzz, but because of me, because I had a profile, I thought the advantage of still sticking my name on the end of it would probably be a gain. So I thought, yeah, Mr. Hutton's Barbers and Bar.
Sounds professional.
I thought so, and I wanted to have the uniform was always shirt and braces. So it just kind of like that gentlemanly type Mr. Hutton's, it lent itself to the whole theme, how I wanted to have the interior and stuff. And but it was massively it was I owe it all really to my wife. Thankfully I met my wife Sophie, and when I met my wife Sophie, I literally didn't have a pot to piss in. I was lending my mum's car, and I was house sharing in a house called East Reby Street. I met my wife Sophie, and she just backed me and was behind me so much, and she was the one person that was like, yeah, it is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can do it. And she helped me through the whole process really. And I remember I'll never forget the first night I opened the bar. It was on a Saturday night, and I went in the back in the barber bit. The bar was rammed. It was absolutely bouncing, and I got really emotional because it was like that was me of like, I've got some form of success back.
Yeah,
because I'd had such success, so much money, fame, but basically I thought I'd become a loser and I'd lost everything. But so then to claw my way back to like being a business owner, and it was brilliant. It was fantastic.
You built this yourself, I think, is one of the best things about it as well.
Yeah.
Like you've not just been like leeching off somebody else and just thought I'll stay quiet. You've been like, you know what, I'm gonna go back into, not fully into the limelight, but you've been like, I'm gonna take charge on this again. I think that's a nice little way to put it.
And it was a bit more to a certain extent. It was a lot more satisfying than winning Big Brother, because it was a business. It was something that had been. It's something that had hard work.
It requires skill, Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it was very satisfying. Yeah.
Well, you've said that one of the main reasons that you also love doing it is when you get the guys in the chair, the way they talk. Did you say it's like the best time for a man to open up, kind of thing?
Yeah. So that was that. So that started. I started being fascinating. I was fascinated by that process, where I started discovering how the job is so much more than cutting hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew me mind, to be honest. I was having incidents where I was getting text messages from clients going, big long messages saying, one message in particular was like, you don't actually realize the headspace I was in. He says, but I just wanted to let you know, like, when I come and get my hair cut off you, how good you make me feel and how much you pick me up. And I didn't realize I was doing that. I was just simply trying to be provide a good service, and because I've been in a really dark headspace myself, I've got a lot of empathy for someone who's there themselves. Mm-hmm. So I really, really want to try and help. There was one guy who he actually came to see me, and he gave me a letter, and he wrote us a letter about how he'd been struggling and how much the chat it helped. There was quite an extreme situation that happened where a lad was he was basically suicidal. He'd Googled how to do it, and so that it blew me mind that the role of a barber, and these were kind of like moments in my life where I was like, because I'd experienced being in a terrible headspace myself, and then I was doing a job where I was sharing stories.
Yeah,
that it blew my mind really about the job, really, how much how much of a therapist. I mean, a lot of people in the hair industry will probably echo what I say, but I was blown away by what I was getting told in the chair.
Mm-hmm. How many people actually have things so much going on?
Yeah, and how much I got. Yeah, and just how much I got told, but also it was like I found it almost, this is going to sound cheesy, but I found it as if it was my gift, it was my calling, that I really wanted to help people. And like that was one of the things that, and we'll probably get onto this before, it's one of the reasons that led me into the Never Throw in the Towel.
Yeah.
And how I started. One of the things that I'd done last November was I'd done free haircuts on a Tuesday in November, because I said, the barber chair is one of the best places to talk. So if anyone's struggling, come and see me for a haircut and we'll have a chat.
I love that. Can you do anything with my hair right now?
I could do you a really good beard.
I would like that. I cut my beard myself and it's fucking terrible, so I'll ask you. So
I could do your beard.
Please. In your opinion, because obviously I know we've covered obviously a lot of your story now, I want to get your opinion on a few things to do with men's mental health, right? So in your opinion, where are men going wrong with their mental health? That's a big question. You say.
Well, yeah, that's... Where are men... Well... I think there's obviously a massive problem, isn't there? Because if you look at the statistics,
I've got some here. I'm going to read them out to you in a minute.
Yeah. Well, one of them. So one of the I'll share a couple of incidents. What I've been doing recently.
Yeah, go for it.
So the last couple of weeks, I've actually attended some construction sites where I go and do keynote speaking, and I opened up to the audience. One of the talks was literally on a construction site, so there was over 200 blocks, and there was women in attendance as well, but there was over 200 men, and I said, I'm just going to open this question up just to the men, and I said, if anyone's felt anxious, depressed, not in a good headspace, something's up with them, put your hands up if you regularly speak to someone about it. There was, out of all of them, 2 men put their hands up. I opened up to the women, full house. All of the women put their hands up. I've done that again the week after. It was to 50 blocks. None of the blocks put their hands up. Again, I opened up to the women in the audience. They all put their hands up. I've done that to women when it's just at this, like, it was at a festival and it was all women in attendance. They all put their hands up. I said, what? It was such a good answer, really. I said, what would you do if you didn't talk about it regular? And the majority answer was, I'd go mental.
Yeah.
And I think talking absolutely is not enough. But it's the first step. The first step is always the hardest to take. And I think when when I've done the 200 blocks, for me, that's when you get to see. This is one of the key reasons why 3/4 of reported suicide are male. This is why the North East is the worst region in the UK. This is why construction is the worst profession in the UK for suicide, because you look at terminologies of man's man, man of the house, alpha male, a proper bloke, man up. All these terms cemented in our vocabulary, they're all associated with a bloke who works in construction who's from the North East.
The problem is all those things are correct in terms of terminology. They've just all been flipped the wrong way. It's like they don't make sense to what they actually mean anymore. Yeah. And no men really, well, there's obviously guys like me and you who look into the meanings and go, well, if that actually means that, then I should be doing these things like talking, taking action, improving myself. If I'm going to be an alpha male or whatever, it starts by looking after yourself, both mentally, physically, talking to people. It starts with that sort of action.
Yeah. Well, one thing I think we probably have to do is we have to try to change, don't we? Something has to change, because if the statistics are absolutely terrible. So, like, one of the main aims for the project that I've signed, that I do, is just trying to change the culture around talking, and just giving some simple knowledge. And the main message for the project is a bit of a strapline: is talking is a strength, it's not a weakness. And it absolutely, like, imagine if you stuck your hand up in front of 200 blokes and went, yeah, actually, I am struggling. I'm not in a good headspace. It's actually like, fucking hell, mate. Like, fair play to owning that. That's showed huge strength. So just trying to change the culture around talking, because we definitely have to change something, because the male suicide is all time high.
I mean, for me personally, what helps me and what I tell a lot of my guy friends and stuff. I mean, I'm fortunate that I've helped build. I haven't just found. I don't think you can just find. You've got to help build a social circle of guys who you can give them permission to talk. Because when you talk openly, like you said, people go, actually, yeah, I agree with what you just said. You open the door for people.
Yeah.
So me and a friend, there's like 5 of us now in this little WhatsApp group. We don't talk all the time, but if we've got a problem, we'll put it in there.
Yeah.
We'll go out for a few non-alcoholic beers because we're tough men, you know. Or a red wine, I do enjoy. But it's like the first thing is, like, I think it starts with physical health. I think too many people don't watch what they eat and they don't move enough. And I think when you tell people that, they don't fucking listen. And they're like, oh, bought paid for. It's like, do you want to keep feeling like shit? This is what you've got to do. And I think men, I mean, you can correct me if your experience is different, but men respond better to, I think, a more brutally honest approach sometimes than just, maybe you should start looking after yourself. It's like, start looking after your fucking self.
Yeah.
I think that is the difference, I think, between how you would talk to a woman. Because if you shout at a woman like that, look after your fucking self, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the best way to go about it. You talk to a man, they go, you know what, mate? You're fucking right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I think just things like lifestyle, diet, things like they're the basics, right?
Absolutely.
And I think in terms of talking to people as well, like the construction site kind of vibe. I mean, I don't know whether anyone listening can tell, I'm not a lad's lad. I'm not a typical lad, right? I'm a nerdy kid, right? Which sometimes can be even more lonely because, like, you don't have your big group of loud lads and, built with confidence and stuff.
Yeah.
So when you do talk, you've got to build that social circle from almost scratch. Or if you find one person, build out from there and you be that guiding light. It's not to say that you take on everyone's problems. You have to make sure you share your own. But I think that when you said the change first, rather than going looking for these people who you can rant to, be that person first.
Yeah.
People will trust you and people will open up, and then you can build that discussion group from there.
Yeah. I think sharing stories, I think people, you can get comfort. And if people share stories, like, then it can go like, oh, right, okay, well, he's been there. Mm-hmm. He's got through it, and yeah, I'm the same. And it might that sharing of that story, might just give them the nudge to open up and talk themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a walk and talk group here in South Shields. There's Andy's Man Club now, which is a massive success as well. It's just getting people through those doors, I think. But
yeah, but I'm a huge advocate for physical health. Physical health equals good mental health, I think. And it's, again, when I go do these talks, it's not rocket science what the advice that I give.
Yeah.
But anything in life, if you get the basics and the fundamentals right, they are the most important things. Always the simple basic stuff: walk, talk, move, cold water, nature, fresh air. Like, if you drink water and you do 15,000 steps on a daily basis consistently,
you're gonna feel better.
I promise you're gonna look better and you're gonna feel better.
Yeah,
simple.
But the thing is, people forget, right? We've had, like, sort of life hasn't really, I mean, apart from technology, life hasn't really changed much in the last, say, 60, 70 years, something like that, right? We have 15, maybe nearly 20 years of Facebook culture, social media culture. We had like 300,000 years of evolution. We haven't changed. Our brains and bodies are still wired the same way as a fucking caveman.
Yeah.
What did cavemen do all the time? They were out moving, physical. They were doing things that brought mass amounts of dopamine. They went on a hunt. I'm not saying go and hunt and kill, but we went and did big things with a group of men, came back, and it felt great. We sat around fires with beers and, mead or whatever the fuck, right? And that is missing now. I think a lot of men's mental health problems would be put into a massive perspective if they were sat around a campfire with a bunch of dudes that they really trusted, with a bit of beef jerky and some beers. I think it would sort a lot of problems out.
No, it would. You know what it is? Especially, I feel sorry for the youth, really, because, and I was having a conversation about this recently. So, like I touched on before, I'm a 90s boy, born in 82, and when we were young, we were playing blocky, hares and hounds, playing tiggy, playing football, doing stuff. We didn't know it, but we were massively keeping on top of our mental health. It wasn't a word then. We look at this modern day world now. Staying in your room used to be a punishment. A lot of these kids aren't leaving their room. We recently done me and Craig, my partner in the project, we took a small group of young lads out for a retreat. Sadly, one of the best mates had attempted to take his own life, and he was in a coma. And the mother had seen what we do, and she asked if we would take these young lads out, and we said absolutely, we'll take them out. So we took them out, and I couldn't believe it. I was talking to these kids, they were lovely, lovely kids, but one of them had never ever been to a forest, and he's from the northeast. Most of them were. There was one particular lad was not in good physical health. He was saying how he just doesn't leave his bedroom. Listening to his lifestyle of inactivity of how much zero physical things he was doing. It was quite alarming, and I was thinking, wow. I don't know, but I was thinking, is this what young'uns are doing now? How much little activity they're doing, and how much they cooked up in the house and stuff. And it absolutely, and then if you go onto the flip side of majority of them will be on the phone, and then you've got the huge shop window of comparison, where they start looking and they're on the phone and they're scrolling. It's a bad concoction of affecting the mental health, and this is why.
Exactly.
This is why it's so bad.
Do you know what I saw the other day, which I've been wanting to bring up on an episode actually, so I'm going to do it now, was, when you scroll through and you see like Hugh Jackman from the new Deadpool movie or whatever, and he's like huge and ripped, everything's etched, right? Or you see like Captain America, like Chris Evans, the superhero physique everyone's going for. You scroll through TikTok, that's what you see, right? When I looked back, I saw someone post about this actually. It was Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men movie and Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man movie, right? And they get their shirts off in those movies. They just look like average dudes who've been going to the gym a few years. And I was like, that's what superhero physiques used to look like. That was like an achievable, good, solid look. And everyone swooned over them. Now it's like, we're bombarded with these like etched figures, and like everything's like 2% fucking body fat. No one admits they're on steroids. It's like this culture is seeping into people. And when you're getting this from a young age, that's what you think. You think, what's the point? Why even bother if I can't look like this? What's
and then
the point?
You've got you'll see some 20-year-old driving a Lambo who's like killing it, and it really spirals. I think the social media, the shop window aspect of the comparison has affected loads of stuff. I think it's affected couples, marriages, mental health. It's something that I touch on in my talks. It's like if you're not in a good headspace, I would highly recommend that you give yourself a little bit of time away from social media. Because comparison, you can go in such a bad place going down that route.
The problem is, I think too many people compare and don't get enough inspiration. I think that's the problem. Like, it's very hard, even now that I have this knowledge, I'm like, it's even hard for me to not go, shit, well, I don't look anything like Hugh Jackman, you know? But I'm like, you know what? Just keep training, keep turning up. That is the most important thing. Keep showing up. You don't have to give 100% of the time. If you've got 60% in the tank, just give that 60%. That's all you got.
Well, I think we've all of us have got insecurities. All of us.
Oh, yeah.
Confidence isn't this magic word. It's just it's a state of your mindset. And I always just think it's just your approach. It's just how you take it. So you can if you see someone in shape, you can take it two ways. You can go, shit, I don't look like that, and feel shit about yourself. Or you can think, you know what? I'm going to get my finger out and I'm going to start going to the gym. And I'm just going to simply just try my best and keep going. And that, that's the approach. And I know it's not easy. I'm saying this as a 42-year-old dad who's got a few years life experience, you know. But it's just that switch in your mindset, how you look at a situation, and how you deal with it. You can either be negative or bitter or jealous, or you can take some inspiration from it. Yeah, going down the positive route will always be the best move for you.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. So tell me about the Never Throw in the Towel. Did you get the name from Am I Right, Your Grandma's Eulogy? Is that correct? Like, where did the idea for this whole thing start?
It might sound a bit cheesy or corny, but it feels like fate for me. This whole I feel as if my life has like fully led me into this, and I've never been so passionate about anything in my entire life when it comes to, like, apart from me wife and kids.
Yeah, you got to mention them, man.
yeah. But so it basically, so my grandma, my story about my grandma, wow. So I had this super, super beautiful, close relationship with my grandma. My grandma, she brought me up with my mum. So I had two mums, mum and grandma. I've always lived with them. And we lived, my house was here, right? And my school was here. So I lived literally next door to the school. Grandma was my dinner lady as well. That was unbelievable because
that's class.
I was on. Oh no, mate, it was unbelievable because I was on packed lunches, right? And my grandma would my packed lunch would be mince and dumplings, or it would be homemade corned beef pie. Like she was obsessed with us, and I was absolutely obsessed with her, to the point where when I was on Big Brother, to win the show, obviously back then it was pick up the phone for public vote.
Yeah.
I thought it was $6,000, but it's $4,000. My grandma racked up a £4,000 phone bill inside a week.
Damn.
For me to win the show.
Wow.
So she literally had a conveyor belt of family members or her press and redial for me to win the show.
Jesus.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
And when she it's mad. So on my 40th birthday. Sorry, this is a little bit long-winded, but I'm quite passionate about it. I'm quite passionate about this story. So on my 40th birthday, like, it's a milestone in your life, and I don't know why, but I decided to I wanted to write my grandma a letter, just thanking her for everything that she'd done for me.
Yeah.
And I signed it off saying, so lucky, so blessed. And my wife actually had a surprise birthday party for me, and she got a load of videos made. My grandma's video was, she said, I seen you first. I was the first person to pick you up. And I've still got the video now. And later that year, she passed away. And I was with her when she held her last breath, and it was like, she actually passed away the same day as me son's christening, and I held her hand literally on her last breath, and it was so sad, but it was also actually so beautiful, because obviously I had them thoughts in my head of like, I was thinking, it made me think, wow, like she was the first person who picked me up and introduced me to the world, and I've held her hand and said goodbye. I was like, wow, I've done the full circle of life with this woman, and she got to meet my son, and I felt, although, like I said, although it was so hard losing my grandma, I felt so blessed. And so she had stage 4 cancer in 2014, and she fought all the way through till 2022.
Wow.
And honestly, like, her attitude towards adversity was unbelievable. I was like so inspired by her. She was born in Scotland. She's tough as nails. Old school, proper old school woman. Like, she was she had 5 brothers. She was the eldest. She was the only girl. Such a tough woman, and she had a huge faith in God. And she never flinched. She never complained about this, and she never complained about this cancer. And she had stage 4 cancer, and like the doctors couldn't get over how she was a picture of health all the way through. It was unbelievable. She was invincible. So when she passed away, it was time to when we started talking about the logistics of the funeral, and the eulogy got mentioned, and all the family in me was like, I'm gonna do the eulogy, and I took this eulogy like so serious, and I like locked myself away, literally locked myself away to tell this woman's story, because I was like, I'm gonna tell this story the best. She's gonna have the best send off possible, and the project's called Never Throw in the Towel, and the strapline is Keep on Living, and they were the words that I used right at the end of my grandma's eulogy, because I wanted to finish on a positive note, and it was describing her fighting spirit towards getting cancer, and I was telling everyone in attendance, going, this is how if you get adversity in your life, this is how you go on. How my grandma, and I said she never threw in the towel. And straight after the funeral, there was a bloke who came up to me. I stood outside the church with my mum, and he was crying, and he thanked us so much for the eulogy. Told us my grandma would be really, really proud. And even then, like, I was like, there was I could just feel there was an energy. He was coming from a deep place. And anyway, the same night he sent me I was at my grandma's house with my mum, and my phone pinged, and it was a message request on Facebook, and I just opened it up, and it was the same bloke, and he sent me this big long message telling us how much he's been struggling with his mental health, and how much he's clung on to the words, never throw in the towel. And it just massively hit me. I was like, and it was another moment that I'd like kind of crossed paths with mental health.
Yeah.
And it just massively hit me. Obviously, I was feeling highly emotional, and days started passing by, and the words it kind of kept on replaying in my head. And there was a fire that got lit, and I thought, I need to start talking about men's mental health.
Yeah.
I have to. And I actually just started Googling speaking agents, and I was pissing against the wind, really. Like, I wasn't a speaker or anything like that, and no one emailed me back. And then randomly, this woman called Holly Matthews, she got in touch with me. We'd done pantomime together years ago, and she lives in London now, and she'd messaged me and she said, "Oh, listen, like I'm throwing this event. Will you be on the panel?" And I was like, "Okay, what's it about?" And she says, "Well, it's mainly a speaking event, and I'm going to have you on the panel to talk about your Big Brother experiences." Afterwards, she was picking me basically because I was still relatively. She picked me because I'd been on Big Brother.
Yeah.
So I basically said, "Listen, do you mind if I be a speaker?" And she basically said, "All right, okay." And she got it back in touch with us. She went, "Right, I'm gonna put you on at such and such in time. What do you want your talk to be called?" And I was like, first thing that came to my head, I was like, the talk's gonna be called "Never Throw in the Towel." Done the talk. I was blown away by how much impact it had. It was the first time I'd spoke about my experiences publicly.
Yeah.
Nearly cried. It was quite raw, and I just had endless amount of messages. People who'd attended. This was in September, and November came, where I was going to do something for men's mental health.
Yeah.
Done free haircuts, and because of my love of the outdoors and cold water, and how much I know physical health is good for your mental health, I was like, her project was called the Happy Me Project. So I kind of copied really, and I was like, I'm going to call the retreat the Never Throw in the Towel Project.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be called. Done a post, said this is what it's going to be, free to attend. Come and join me. I was expecting good numbers. There was only 9 blokes who'd turned up. We went and done it. It was unbelievable. We done a walk. That's naturally led to the talking. We done boxing. I'm a big boxing fan. We done breath work, and we had a cold water dip at the end, and it was unbelievable. And then Craig, who's me now partner in the group, Craig, who's me partner in the project, he'd actually attended. He was he'd actually had some struggles, and Craig reached out to me and he sent me a massive long message saying, "Listen, mate, you have to keep this going."
Yeah.
He went, "What's happened today is been magic." He went, "Some blokes have like shared some stories here, and blokes have really needed this. If you want to do it again, and you need help or support, I'll support any way I can." Me and him met for a coffee, and we said, like, let's do it again.
Nice.
The second one, there was 31 blokes turned up, and it was magic. We'd done the cold water dip at the end. There was 31 blokes there, cheering, cuddling each other. Like, it was euphoric, and it was like, wow. I came away going, whoa, that was like, this magic happened here. That was epic.
Yeah.
And third one, there was 72 blokes turned up. ITV TNT's News had asked to cover it. There was a local Northeast director who'd met me. He's now doing a documentary on it. Little
Nice.
plug. There's a documentary going to be on Amazon Prime. Its first showing is in November at the Tees Valley Film Festival.
Nice.
And it's just grew very quick, very fast, and it's all happened organically, and it all comes from me grandma. And there's a quote that a guy called, shout out to Paul Million, and I can totally resonate with it. And it's a quote that says, it's by Napoleon Hill, and it says, "In every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." And I know that to be true from my life experiences. And like my grandma, prime example, such a sad story, such a sad moment, a loss. Deep in there's been a seed of a greater benefit where I've used that to start helping save lives, trying to help people.
Mate, she'd be fucking proud of you for this.
Yeah,
she'd be proud of you,
but,
man.
Well, it's awesome because I'm still making new memories, and she's not here, but to me she still kind of is, because I talk about her for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man.
Sorry for the long answer.
That's cool, man. No, absolutely, I loved it.
I'm quite passionate about that.
Where do you see this going? Do you just want to keep making these retreats bigger and bigger? And I know you've got a podcast and stuff to go with it now. Like, how big are we talking? Like,
well, when we got to 72, that was ridiculous. In such a short space of time, everyone started. People would just assume that we were a charity, and we weren't a charity. We actually had to. It was mad that the third one we had to raise. We had to set up a Just Giving page, to raise money for equipment, for boxing gloves. We were like,
that's not cheap.
We were like, we haven't got enough boxing gloves here.
Yeah.
But we were hell bent, because I'm someone who I've not had money. I've had money, and I've literally not had a pot to piss in at times. I know how money can massively influence things. It massively can. So, we were hell bent on making them, having them for free. Let them. I loved them, and I also was like, listen, if this, like, just make it big, and good things will happen no matter what. So the idea really is, once we got to once we started doing a few of them, I basically had the idea of, like, imagine if we had ambassadors who were like-minded, like me and Craig, who will because we had people just want to be involved with us. Yeah. We have endless amounts of people wanting to be volunteers. The soul behind it. Do you know what I mean? So we were like, what if we have ambassadors and we dot these all over the country? What do we need to make that happen? We need money. We need funding, because we need to get everyone. Everyone needs mental health first aid. They need open water lifeguard certificate, and they need the cold water therapy certificate. They need training. Yeah. But we thought, what if we get like-minded people taking these, get them the training, pay for them, and they can dart them all over. Yeah. So that's really the plan. Really, is we're almost, to be honest, is like copying off the Andy's Man Club model. Yeah. Really,
copying's good. I mean, great. What is it? Great artists copy. Good artists copy. Great artists steal. That's the quote.
Well, the thing is, though, this is something where it's different now. Yeah. Listen, there's no one more competitive than me. I come from a very much a sporting background. Yeah. It's competition's in my DNA. This is the one thing where it's always stripped back, because this is one thing where every man, we're all on the same team here. Yeah. This is Team Man. So ultimately, if we're helping, that's good. Yeah. If there's another charity or another one who say copies us, but they've got 40 blokes who are attending, who they're helping, that's a win. Yeah. This is the one time where you always put the ego and the competitive side. You've got to put that to the side. Yeah. Because we're doing good here. Yeah. We're ultimately trying to help. Mm-hmm. So this is the one time where it's actually it's cool to copy, or because ultimately if you're helping, that's the main aim really. That's the number one focus. Mm-hmm. Is if you're helping someone, that's number one. Forget about everything else. This is why I'll always, if someone wants to collaborate, if someone wants me to be on a podcast, whatever, I'll always say yes. Yeah. Because the number one focus is, let's get the message out there. Let's try and help. Yeah. Well, my audience is 48% male, mate. So there's a good chunk of people gonna be listening to this going, shit, I need to get involved in these projects. So honestly, like, do me a favour, whenever you've got time, please come on one of these retreats.
I'd love to, man. I'd love to.
Honestly, the camaraderie that we do, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
And so the retreat. I'll have a little plug here. So the next one's on the 15th of September.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that at Seaton Crew Beach, and we do a walk around about an hour and a half. We do some boxing. The boxing's fun, so no one's getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
It's just basically for fitness.
Yeah.
I am a believer in every single person should have an idea of how to defend themselves, though.
I agree.
I do agree with that. I'm the most placid guy you'll ever meet. I do not condone violence at all.
Mm-hmm.
I do think everyone should at least know how to block a shot.
Yeah.
Just simply block a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm a big advocate for that. But the boxing side's really fun.
Yeah.
The breath work's awesome. The people who think the breath work might be a little bit like hippie or woo woo. There's huge benefits in breath work.
Yeah.
In the breath work, you need it because the cold water dip. You need the breath
Wim
work
Hof
for the
breathing
cold
and stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, if you get the breathing right with the cold water is so much more easier when you have the breath work. And the cold water, again, the benefits of the cold water are unbelievable.
Yeah, it's such a massive rush when you get in there. I remember I did a retreat with a guy called Elliot Hulls. I don't know whether you've ever heard of Elliot Hulls. Big YouTuber guy. And it was a camp in Florida for just men to come. Right. And it was essentially a man's retreat, but like from a spiritual way. And it was like we did what was called like Osho dynamic meditations.
Right.
So much so that when I came back, I started teaching it to I did a men's class and I did a women's class.
So what was talk me? What's that then? Talk me through
that. So the meditations were an hour-long meditation.
Right.
Which sounds crazy, but it came in 4 stages.
Right.
So the main one I loved to do was you would start with a rapid breathing through the nose, and it would get you sweating, pumped, your blood would be going. It was like you'd be snotting everywhere. It was a disgusting meditation. Right. And then afterwards, the music would change. You'd hear a gong. And for 10 minutes, you would just scream, like rage, shout, punch the mats that were on. Just people would cry. I mean, you're in a room with 100 guys or so doing this. Yeah. The energy was crazy. And then after that, you would just stop. Like, it would be this calm music. You would just have to stand still. You were fucking knackered, right? Right. And the final stage was you would just dance to this music. Everything's done with eyes closed or masks on. You can't see anyone else.
Right, okay.
But by the end, you just felt... I mean, you couldn't talk. Your voice was fucked. But by the end, you were just like, I feel amazing. And it's such an amazing... I'll come along and teach you at one of your retreats. It's epic. Once we see all these dudes just letting go. I mean, guys were having epiphanies and everything. It was mad.
So we incorporated a bit of screaming. In ours. But it's... I mean, the older I've got, the more in touch I've totally got with. I remember when I was looking for when I was doing research of a venue, and I was I was at Tamsley Forest, and it was a Sunday morning, and I was with my dog, and I was barefoot, doing breath work with my dog, and I was just like, oh man, and then I was driving back going like, when the fuck did I turn into a hippie?
When did I start hugging trees, man?
Yeah, but I don't know, you start feeling, I think it might come with age, you just start feeling a lot more comfortable with what you're into, and that type of stuff. I love. That's my hit now, is doing cold water and doing retreats and stuff. But no, that sounds really interesting. What you touched on there.
It comes with its own unique soundtrack and stuff. I'll show you some of the stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
I've run out of time for you, but I have one final question for you, and this is a question that I've asked the last sort of 7 or so guests I've got on, because it's an interesting question how people choose to answer it. So, and you can answer any way you want.
Okay.
It's entirely personal to you, but do you consider yourself a success? And you can take us in on this, because it's not always an easy question to ask.
I think I can answer it relatively easy, actually. For me, is yes. I would absolutely say yes. Mainly, me wife and me 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, when I'm at home, and I'm looking at my family, and we're in our kitchen, and we're all together.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, for me, that's like, that's what I want. That's what life's about, really. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is, and you can, in the modern day world, you've got all these other stuff flying around, but like, if you strip it all back, or if you just imagine if you just had one more day. For me, if I just had one more day, it would probably just be like, just in me home, with me loved ones, telling them how much I love them, and being around them, and so that to me, I've found success, because I've got, I think one of the most important things you can do in your life is who you have kids with.
Mm-hmm.
That who's going to be the mother of your child, of your kids, and that's one thing that I absolutely got right, because I met an absolute amazing woman who was absolutely the best mom you could ever wish.
Yeah.
And me eldest son Cruz, he is literally an angel. What a beautiful soul he's got. And I've got my little boy Xander, who he's only like 8 weeks. He's only 8 weeks. He looks the spit and double of my eldest son, and the joy, the happiness that I get from them is just like, wow.
I always say fame, Lamborghinis, expensive watches, they don't look after you when you're ill. They don't take care of you when you're old. It's the family. It always comes back down to that, man. And I mean, if you can build, obviously, go out and chase these things. I think as a man, it's important to try and chase a sense of purpose, a sense of fulfillment, to be useful to the world. But if you got no one to share it with, it's not worth its weight in gold, is it? So yeah. But nice, man. Listen, where can people follow you? Where can people find your podcast? Where can people find out everything that you do? Where's the best place to go?
So it's Never Thrown the Towel project on all forms of social media platform, Instagram, Facebook. Anthony Hutton on LinkedIn. If anyone wants to book me for speaking events, very active on LinkedIn. We have the Never Thrown the Towel podcast. We've had amazing success with that so far. We've interviewed the Stoltman brothers. We've had Johnny Nelson. We've got Troy Hawk on. He's booked in.
That's the guy that stands outside like Waitrose and shit. I love that guy.
Yeah, we've got him booked in. We've got a massive guest that said yes. I'm not going to say who it is yet, because I just want the cemented date first.
Yeah.
But the aim of the podcast is just like the project. The aim is to help and inspire. It is sharing stories of people who've had adversity, who've showed resilience, and shown simply never giving up is always the answer, because you can get through it. And that's how you find us. Oh, Anthony Hutton. I'm on Anthony Hutton on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Nice, man. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time today, Anthony.
Yeah, thanks for having
listen,
me.
guys, as always, please go and follow Anthony. Check out everything he does, because I was absolutely blown away when I saw some of the stuff that he's been doing. And always leave us the 5-star review. Don't leave these 4 stars. Who keeps leaving 4 stars?
Why would you do a 4?
Why would you do it? Exactly. Listen to Anthony. He's one big brother. He knows his shit, right? So 5 stars, please. It just really helps push us to new audiences to really boost this podcast. So thank you very much, mate. For anyone that can't see that, we're just shaking hands as well. It's a hard reach through the microphones. But yes, see you all on the next episode, guys. See you later.